Golly dang. Yep, I do that every time. It's twice now. I've muted myself upon starting. So let's start over. Hello. Welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to Workout Wednesday Live. Apologies for that. And hope you're having a great day so far. We are going to talk about headcount data today. This is week 14. Luke Stanky has provided us with a headcount challenge. So we're using real-world fake data by Mark Bradburn, his HR data. And I shouldn't say, I was going to say, I did say before you couldn't hear me, that a pretty basic challenge, but from what I've seen on Twitter and around the interwebs, there's nothing basic about this challenge. It is going to be interesting. In his challenge, they said in his description of the challenge, it says that we need to manipulate the data in Tableau. So that's going to be interesting to figure out. But we'll see what we can do. And hopefully, headcount data is something that every HR department is very concerned about. So this is a very real world challenge, as the name suggests. So let's go ahead and get into it here. So we'll go ahead and jump into Tableau. We're going to go ahead and connect to the data. I know that it's a CSV file. And it's the Human Resources CSV file right there. So we'll connect to that data source. And we'll bring that up. Okay. So we've got a lot of different things in here. We've got a bunch of things, but interestingly, the only thing that we need for this challenge is the hire date, the ID. All of this location stuff can go, the race, the term date. That is all we need. So let's go ahead and just hide those for now. And we'll get rid of those. We'll get rid of this hierarchy. Just like that. So we have just the hire date, the term date, and the employee ID. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at this, we'll go ahead and bring this stuff out. Oh, and term date needs to be brought in as a date. There we go. Term date. Well, we'll do hire date, term date, and we'll bring these in as exact dates. I'm going to do this a different way because I wish Tableau had better ways of doing this, because if I select exact date, it automatically turns it into a continuous field, and that's not what I want. So the way that I get around that is I'll hold down my Alt key on my Mac and a Control key on a Windows machine, drag out hire date. So hold down Alt, Control, drag out hire date, and then you get this context menu. Then you select discrete hire date, and that will be the exact date as discrete. And then we'll just do the same thing for term date. I don't want any nulls here, so let me add a data source filter here. I want to remove all of the null IDs because we shouldn't be counting anybody who has a null date, or a null ID, I should say. There we go. All right, so we got IDs, we've got the hire date, we've got the term date. You can see here we have term dates in the future, which is interesting. Or maybe this data set was just meant to be used in the next decade. I don't know. But so that's what we've got, right? And so what we need to do, if we look at his challenge, is we need to calculate the total headcount for each month. And then this is something that really needs to be called out. Hire and attrition doesn't count until the next month, right? So if we look here, this person started on January 20th, 2002. They actually won't count on the headcount report until February 1st of 2002. And then same thing with the term date. So that's the first thing that we need to kind of think about as we do this. And let's see. We also need to calculate the year-over-year change by month, and then calculate the year-over-year change for each month. All right. So first thing we can do is we can create a field. We'll call this report date, and we're just gonna add a month to the hire date because that's when our people will start. We'll say report start date, and that's just going to be date trunk. Well, let's do this. Let's do it this way. First thing we need to do is we need to date add a month, 1 month to our hire date. That'll give us the month, but then we know that we're just going to be doing this by monthly. We're just going to do this monthly aggregation. So we can go ahead and wrap this, and we'll just go ahead and truncate this to the month. There we go. Report start date. Of course, change that to a date because Tableau likes to be silly like that. Okay, now we also need to do the same thing for the report end date, or the term, I'll say the attrition date, that's what I'll call it. So we'll duplicate this, and we'll edit, and I'll call this attrition date, and we'll change this to the term date. Alright, so now if I bring in my report start date, I should see, as discrete, yep, I should see this be, yeah, so this person won't be counted until February, this person won't be counted until May, and so on and so forth. So that looks good. So what I can do now is let's take off ID so we can just and let's put that on, let's do a control drag of ID, see if that works. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, so I will do a measure, and we're just going to do a count, and we'll just do like that. So there's the report start date, 4674. This is just the count of IDs. It would also work if I use just the count of rows here. Now what we can do is, we need to figure out how many people. So there's let's see here. What do we need to do here? Yep, so that is just this. So what we'll do here is, nope, not a parameter. Just going to go ahead and do this as, just to make our fields nice and neat. I'm just going to go ahead and create some fields for this. And I'm going to call this, these are new hires, count of human resources.csv. That's just the same thing. I could have renamed this, but so that's the new hires. Now what I need to do is I need to figure out how many people departed within the same reporting month. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. I think the easiest and best way is we're actually going to do some blending, which is something that we don't typically do a lot, but it has its use cases. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another data source. I'm going to duplicate this, but I'm going to go edit it real quick. And what I'm going to do is, first thing is I'm going to get rid of, well, I can keep that. I can keep that. We'll get rid of this field. And the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create I'm going to add another data source filter on this duplicated data source. And that's where the term date, so the termination date is not null, right? So this is only going to be the people that left, right? So this is human resources attrition. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then what we can do is report start date. And actually, the way that we actually need to bring this. Well, the first thing we need to do, report start date, and we actually need to edit our blend relationships, because what we're actually going to do here is we are going to, when the data, when that is that, we need to add a custom one because it's not going to be based on name. So if you're new to Tableau, or maybe you haven't done blending in a while, when you have two data sources, Tableau will automatically create blend relationships where they'll automatically create blend relationships where the field names are exactly the same. And when I say exactly the same, I mean exactly the same, meaning the name of the column has to be one-to-one match by case, by length, and everything. So Tableau automatically creates these because it finds those, but what we're going to do here is we're going to create a custom one. And it's actually where, and if you remember what we did is we added the month, right, to each of the start date and the attrition date, or the hire date and the term date. So actually what I want my relationship to be is my report start date is going to be related to the attrition date, and that's the added month of when everything of when they actually fall on the attrition report. So by creating this, we've created this relationship. Now, yep, that's fine. Okay, so now what's going to happen is we are going to, what we're going to do now is, yep, so when report date is on attrition date, which is good, now we can actually count what we're going to, this is the, these are the departures. We're gonna zero out the nulls. So if there's any nulls, we're just gonna add a 0. If we didn't do that, let's just build this piece by piece. What we're gonna do is we're going to do a count of. Oh, looks like we don't need both, so it already brings it in. So it's just going to be a count of this at each. It's going to be a count of my secondary data source where the report date equals my attrition date. Now, let's talk again. Let's talk about blends again for a minute. So let's go here and let's go add. Where did that? Oh, I didn't save it. Of course not. All right, departures. So talk about blending while I'm recreating this. So blends, essentially the best way to understand a blend is an is a join after aggregation, right? So in typical data modeling structure, a join is when you bring two data sets together prior to doing any aggregation, right? It's row level joining. A blend is what happens after after we do all the aggregation, then we blend, or then we join, right? And that's why sometimes if you're blending, that's why you can't use some types of aggregations, because specifically the count distinct is what we get most is the one that we try to use most often, and it gives us the error. And the reason for that is because when you count distinct something, you're losing your level of detail on one side, and so therefore they have nothing to join on after the aggregation. So that's what that is. So I'm on my main data source, which is my human resources data. I go to my my attrition data source, and I bring in the number of records for that. Click OK. Now I have this, and now if I bring in that, so this is why the ZN function is important, because we have nulls here. Because what's happening is Tableau is saying, yeah, hey, for November 1st, 2000, there are 46 new hires in the human resources report, but I can't find any matching records over on the other data source. So that's why if we go here and we wrap this whole thing in a ZN, come on, if I can type correctly, there we go, just like that. Okay, so that's what we've got. And also what we're going to do, so now we've got, here are the people that, here, I'll go ahead and rearrange this right now. So there we go. So here are our new hires for each month. Here are the number of departures. Here's what departed. So now what we can do is we can use this to create a running head count. Stand by. I'm having some technical difficulties. Stand by. We're getting back online. Stand by. Hopefully we'll get this figured out. Let's find... There we are. Okay, so had some technical difficulties. I apologize for that. I'm back. Had a power glitch, so I had to go run down and get a... had to go run down and switch the power back on. That was weird. Okay. Apologies for that. Oh, come on. Just trying to get back online here. Apologies for the technical difficulties here. Let's see. Where are we? All right. So... widget strength poor. Okay. All right, I think we're live. If someone can just drop in the chat whether I'm back online and you can hear me, that'd be great. All right, thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Excellent. Okay, so apologies for that. That was weird. This is one of the fun things that when you're doing live streams from your house, this is one of the fun things to kind of control here. So thanks for sticking with me. Okay, so where we left off, we are now ready to essentially what we need to do now is we've been able to calculate the new hires for each month, and we've been able to calculate the number of departures for each report month, right? So we've got, in May of 2001, we had one person leave, and so on and so forth, right? So in August of 2004, in September of 2004, we had a total of 5 people leave over those 2 months. So now what we can do is we can basically just create a running sum. So what we're going to do is, Tableau, you're gonna be silly, aren't you? Let's see. Let's do. This always happens whenever I. Okay, let's see. Will this work? No, because Tableau is being rather silly. Okay, hold on. Oh, not that. That's not what I meant to do. All right. Nope. Okay. So I need to save this because what's happening is whenever I right click on my fields, I'm not getting the context menu and something is whacked out. So let's do, I'm just going to do this head count. Save this. Certainly, no one has ever experienced this type of technical difficulty ever, right? Certainly, we could all probably share our horror stories of Tableau doing silly things in the middle of demonstrations or presentations, right? So, let's see. Let's get this back open. We're getting back online. I apologize. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go. All right. Now we just need to get this back over here. There we go. Now we're ready. Okay. Now, what I was trying to do was trying to create... so whenever I clicked on this chevron right here, like this entire context menu, like ended up over on a completely different screen, which is really weird. So, so anyway, that's why I had to do that. Okay. So what we need to do... Let's get back on track. So we've got new hires, we've got departures. We need a way to do a running sum, right? So we need to calculate. We need to take this value, subtract that value, to get a new value. But then what we need to do for this 74, what we need to do is we actually need to add. We need to add this 74 to the previous calculation here, and then subtract the total number. So what that's going to look like, we'll create a calculated field, and we'll say this is the official, we'll make it the official head count. So what that's going to be, not a fixed, is new hires plus previous value minus departures. So bump this up so you guys can see it. So what are we doing here? Well, this is kind of a I'm going to go ahead and open this, and I'm going to put this on there. Okay. And then, yeah. So we're just doing pane down for right now, so that'll work. Okay. 2316. Okay, so let's talk about what this calculation is doing. Let's talk. So this is kind of this can be a little bit of a trippy type of thing. So what we're doing, we're taking new hires here. We're gonna add to this new hires value the previous value of this official headcount. So the previous value looks at the previous row in the partition, right? So, and then what it does after it gets that is it subtracts the number of departures. So if we start to look at, right? So if we look at this row for that calculation, this 589 is computed by taking 103 plus the 487 minus 1. So this is kind of you can kind of think of this previous value as kind of recursive, right? It's really weird when you're writing it out for the first time because you're saying previous value when there's nothing there yet, which can be a little bit kind of confusing. But hopefully by seeing it this way and thinking through the logic here, you can see how that plays out. So, and then we just kind of keep that going. So this is a kind of a way of doing a running sum. Because if we didn't have any nulls, this would just be equal to a running sum, right? It would be this raw value plus the value of each row to that point before it, right? So that's kind of a running sum. So that's kind of why we had to do that. Now, what's interesting is, what would happen? Let's do that. Let's look at that. Why wouldn't we be able to do just a running sum minus departures? So I've copied this. I'm just going to do a running sum of my new hires. So let's look at what happens here. Let's look at the next row. All right. So you see up to this point, each row here is exactly the same when we're doing the running sum minus the running sum minus departures, or the new hires plus the previous value of our official head count minus. So you can see right up to this point we're good. But what happens here? What happens here is it doesn't actually subtract because there's nothing here. So what if we did that? What could we do if we did this? Could we do running sum minus lookup of departures moving up one? Ooh, that would work. So if you wanted to do a running sum, so this is kind of interesting. Oh, nope, because we lose one here. Why does it do that? Interesting. Yep, so that wouldn't work either because we don't actually, we're not getting the same number either. So, anyway, I could take you through a whole bunch of other different answers that would be wrong. Or we can just move on with the right answer. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, just to go through it one more time, what are we doing? We're taking new hires. If we go back to our here, we're doing new hires plus the previous value of the official headcount minus whatever the row level departure number is. So that's what we're doing. So that's how we're getting there. Now what we need to do is we need to calculate the percent difference, right? The percent change and the raw total. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the year over year delta number first. All right, and that's going to be official headcount minus ZN lookup official headcount, and we're going to go back 12. Now this is kind of an interesting, so if we do look up, yeah, so let's see if that, let's see what we get there. So if we do that, we'll bring that over here. Nope. Those numbers are negative. That ain't right. There we go. Okay. So, so we did have to go, because what was happening when I did plus, or when I did this, it was looking 12 down, but when by doing negative, it would look 12 back, which is what we want. So we're taking the official head count, which is this number, minus whatever the head count is above. So if we look out 12 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. So now we start here, right? So essentially what we should see the calculation be is this 1145 minus 46, right? So that's what this calculation is doing. So let's just check to make sure that Tableau is doing what we want it to. Bring my calculator over here. Whoop. Getting a little too crazy with my clicks here. All right, 1145 minus 46. 1099, that's what we get. So that is the year over year delta change number for the official head count. Then we'll just go ahead and use that same calculated field. So that's our number. Then we'll divide that to get a change. We're just going to take the ZN lookup of official head count minus 12. And we'll call this year over year delta percent. And we get numbers that are greater than 1. Let's see, let's make sure, oh, I know, it's not equal to 1. because I'm using measure names and measure values, and Tableau doesn't like it when you just automatically do that without any number formatting. Tableau tries to automatically assume you want all your numbers to be of the same format. That's not what we want. So we need to go here and we need to change our default format or default properties for our percent to a percentage at 1 decimal point. There we go. In the beginning, they're really, really large. If we keep scrolling down, they get really, really small. Now I think we've got all of our calculations built. Now we can go ahead and start building our view. So, using this, we will use the report start date. We are actually going to be using the report start month, the discrete month. Discrete month. As a continuous field. While we're here, let's do some formatting to make sure that we actually get the abbreviation. Okay. We also know that we need year to be on detail and color. It needs to be on the detail card, and we'll put it on color because that's what we've got here. I'm not too concerned about colors just for the sake of doing this because changing the colors is something pretty easy. So what I'll do here is I'll take my report start date. I will do my alt drag onto color, and I'll do my discrete year. So this is where we get all of our years. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my official head count and I'm going to put it up here. And you can see this is not quite looking right. It's because we need to change the way that Tableau is computing this table calculation. And we needed to do specific dimensions for each year and month in this order. Right? And you can see I've got a lot more lines on here than what Luke has. So this is another fun trick when you're using table calculations, is the often missed hide function. So you can hide dimension members, meaning you're going to hide them in the view, but they're still going to be on detail, which means Tableau can still do table calculations with all of those values, and you're not going to lose a thing. So I'm going to highlight 2000 to 2017 over in my color legend. I'm going to right click with all of those selected, and I'm going to show, and I'm going to do hide. And that's going to take everything away and just leave my 4 numbers. I'll go ahead and add my labels here, and then we can start to check. And let's see, I'm getting, why isn't, I thought this was, so I've got 20 January 1st, 2021 is at 20,316 on here, which is right. That's on there, which is right, but over here it's not. So let's go figure out why that is. Does it make sense there? No. Hey David, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you. Hope to see you at conference. Thanks for joining. All right, so what is happening here? Why isn't this working? It's working over here. 2316. How do I get this right? Okay, let's do report start date. Let's do this for the year, and then we'll break it out by the month. Okay. that's not right. All right, let's break this off. What if I did year of start date? Bring that up here. Change this. Compute using. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Put that up here. Well, now my numbers are going even farther away. What's happening here? How about we do, what if we did this? Report start date, which is exact date. Edit. Oh, that's really not right. Oh, because that's continuous, that's why. We'll make it discrete. No, it needs to be at the month. Nope. Let's go back. This is fun, isn't it? All right. Let's go here. Month, year, official head count, compute using. Put year on top. That splits it out. I don't have any other nested table calculations. Let's see. What is this? What is... Let's do year and month and figure out why this is not working. Oh, this continuous month or discrete month. Discrete. All right, let's figure out where this is going wrong here. Let's duplicate this. So this is the fun part. You get so far, and then things go wrong. And things don't start adding up. So here we'll do exact date, discrete, and we end up with what it should be here. So let's just do some spot checking here. We've got 11:45 at the first mark. Oh, see? Let's do... Oh, I need to change these here. Nope, not that. Table down. So, oh, So it's saying I can't. So it's not actually. But why is it working here? It's maybe I need to do my continue doing some. Oh, because okay. I think I know why. So let's get rid of all of this. I think it's because I'm blending, my blends are wrong, right? So let's just get rid of all these blends. These are all of the blends that are happening automatically. And now let's do report date on attrition date. And this may end up fixing it. Well, no, that most certainly did not, did it? Okay. What if we need, do we need to add each level? We may need to add each level into our blend relationships. So I have that. That's when it's the exact date, but let's go here when we're doing the month of report date. We're doing the month of attrition date. When we're doing the year of report date, we're doing the year of attrition date. Month, year, report start date. Hey! There it is. That's blending for you. Okay, so the reason that didn't work, the reason we were having issues is because originally I was using the exact date to do the blending, but in my view, I didn't have that blend relation. I wasn't using those two dates. I wasn't using the exact date. I was using the date partitions for start date of year and month, but I didn't have that blend relationship established in Tableau. So Tableau was actually saying, Tableau was trying to match on report date to report date where things are not offset. So that's why we were having the issue. But now that I changed that, so again, let's look at what I did here. And at the blend relationships, I went and I explicitly said for each partition, for each date partition that I'm using in my view, which is year and month, and then I just kept this one so that our validation sheet would continue working. Everything would work. So that's why Tableau was having such a difficult time. So now we get everything's right, and now everything's right, right? So that's how that's working. So now what we can do is we can go up here. We should be able to just add these and make sure that we set our partition right. Right? So we have nested table calculations. So that's what Luke said, right? He did say, and how to properly nest your table calculations. So we need to do this for each nested table calculation in our view. Just like that, right? And then we're going to have the same issue when we go over here and do the number too. Unless it's already being used. Yep, it's already being used in the views, and we've already told Tableau how to calculate this table calculation within this view. So Tableau is matching that across the entire sheet. So that's how that's working. So now we can go, and now if we edit each of our axes, so just like we said at the top, this was not a very basic challenge, right? This is the this is what Tableau developers do every day, right? They go into their little, mad scientist library or mad scientist lab and go do some crazy calculations and some crazy partitionings. And once they validate that everything's right and they make Tableau do what they want them to do, we end up with something very nice and elegant that looks very simple, but it's not. It actually takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of trial and error. So that is everything. So let's just let's just spot check these numbers. 17,583, 17,583, 2316, 4.3 and 5.6. Oop. 4.3 and 5.6. I've got different numbers here. 981, 981 and 846. So I do have different numbers. 5.6 and 4.3. And we've got 4.2 and 5.3. $17,809, $18,796. Well, that's interesting. Our raw numbers, well, not these raw numbers. These raw numbers are not equal. So that's why, right? We know that these are, our denominator is right, but our lookup is not. 981, let's look at what we got here. 981, 846, yeah. There, that's January, right? So you would get, well, what is that? Let's look at that. We've got let's see, 981, nope. 846, nope, not that. Oh, that's the change. That's not the actual numbers. And it actually would be these numbers, right? We would be looking at. All right, well. And so the next thing that I would do from here is I would check to see if I would start to validate against these actual raw numbers, but I don't think Luke has he hasn't opened up downloading capabilities of the data or the workbook. So I would have to go back and figure out where my change is, but I just can't figure that out right now. It may be a rounding, potentially. No, it's not. We're not doing any rounding. Now we're getting down to brass tacks, right? Okay. But if these numbers are all right, I don't see why the percentages would be different. $583, $649. Yep. $719. 809. Yep. And then what we're doing is this number is 1750. Well, let's not look at it here. Let's look at which number is wrong. Do we have 985, 912, 902? Yeah. And 5.2, and I get 5.5. So I'm off by like 0.3% of all of my calculations, which is very strange. Which means I might... What would happen if I did my official head count? Nope, not that one. Delta numbers. Well, no, because my... that's not right. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check that whenever Luke opens up the workbook to figure out what I fouled up on. But the good thing is, once we've gotten down the we've worked through the logic. We've worked through the logic of how to do that, and now we're just, we're arguing over 0.1%, which I could make an argue for. I can make an argue against. But so I think for the sake of time, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. The rest of it is just formatting and creating a dashboard. But recap what we talked about, since I apologize again for all of the technical difficulties. It started with a muted microphone. I had a power blip and had to come back, and I had Tableau doing weird things on me, so apologize for all the technical difficulties. But we talked about we learned a lot about blending. We learned a lot about blend relationships, and remember, blending is a join after the aggregation, which is why you can't use count distincts in your blend aggregations. So, which is really fun. We learned about previous values and lookups and how to build table calculations and nested table calculations and all of that fun stuff. So this was a really great challenge. Again, real world challenge, had some good stuff in it. Again, these are problems that we deal with all the time in our real world jobs. I'm just going to make sure that I did properly set, because that could be an issue if I edit my table calculations, year, month, edit table calculation, year, month, yeah. I don't know. That's strange. That is strange to me. Year, month, yeah. I don't know. Okay, well, anyway, appreciate all of you joining in. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a follow, all that fun stuff. This is what we do every week. Generally on Thursdays at Thursday afternoons at lunch, but I've had a lot more viewers today, so maybe Fridays are better. I don't know, but let me know. I'll stick around I'll stick around in the chat for a few minutes afterwards. But have a wonderful weekend. Have a great rest of your Friday, and we will talk to you. We'll talk to you later. Thanks so much.